Pastor Vernon is very good about not using notes to preach his sermon. I am not. So I have a few pages, mostly to remind me of what I intend to say, and mostly to keep me on track so that the sermon doesn't last an hour. Matthew 25:29 says, "For to those who have, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away." All right, the title of my sermon is, "Did you bring your talent?" So I'm going to ask you, did you bring your talent? You don't have to answer. You did. Whether you meant to or not, you brought your talent. It's within you, and sometimes in places you don't even recognize. Sometimes you don't even find it, each one and all of them, until you reach this retirement age that most of the people in this congregation are part of. Those of you who are young, you have talent that you are giving us, which is wonderful. And you will have even more, but wait till you get to be our age, there's even more talent that comes. So I'm going to give you the sermon in the paragraph, so I just want you to listen to this paragraph. The rest of the sermon you can tune out. You've got talent. Use it. Not everyone is born with the same talents. The talent is never lost by using it. It is only lost when it's never used. That's what Jesus means in this statement. But from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away. If you don't use your talent, it will be lost. So give thanks, especially this week, for the innate gifts or talents received from God, and for the gifts received from people who have developed their talents and used them to benefit you. That's it. You can go home. Where would we be if the medical profession suddenly decided to stop employing their talents? If lab technicians, if nurses, if doctors, if surgeons said, "That's it. I'm not developing this talent anymore. I'm not going to study for years to become a physician or a nurse or a lab tech. I don't care anymore. I'm not doing it." Where would we be? Where would we be if engineers all decided to stop designing roads or bridges or buildings or water systems? Where would we be if road workers decided to stop using their talents to keep the roads in repair, to build new roads? Where would we be if ushers here in the church, our sound tech, our music staff, our bell and voice choir, our secretarial staff decided to stop using their talents? The list goes on. In Matthew chapter 25, Jesus is approaching the end of his ministry. He tells about 3 parables here in a row, each a little bit different, before he tells the disciples that 2 days later, he's going to be turned over to authorities and be crucified. So he's trying to give them some help, some aid, some parables, some things for them to understand what they need to do when he is gone. So he tells this particular story. He tells them it's like a man who summons his slaves and gives them talents to manage while he goes on a journey. Not directing them how to manage those talents for the first time. The master has given them instructions all along about how to use his wealth and how to manage it. This time he gives them some wealth and leaves and says, "You're on your own. Manage your talents. By the way, the word talent actually means 80 libra. Now, you all know what that is, right? 1 libra is 12 ounces of gold. 1 talent is 80 libras. So 1 talent is about 75 pounds of gold. That's what it translates to in the modern day. That 1 talent, the one person got, you thought was very little, it was a fortune. 2 talents was 2 fortunes. 5 talents was 5 fortunes. By the way, that's where we get the word using talent in our current English language, is from this parable. And we've translated talent to mean not gold, but rather a gift or an ability, an innate gift or ability. You know the outcome. 5 makes 5 more. 2 makes 2 more. But I really empathize with the person with the 1 talent. He saved that talent. He didn't lose it. He saved it. He kept it safe. Never used it, never invested it. He kept it safe for his master. Yet, he's the one persecuted by his master in Jesus' parable. Why? Because he never uses what he was given. He never invests it and makes more. So even what he has was taken away. "30 or 40 years ago, I started by building a desk. I could do a little woodworking, I thought, so I built a desk. About 5 years later, about 25, 30 years ago, I thought, this is the stupidest desk I've ever seen. Nobody would ever want this. I had one, I'll be nice to him, one of my young parishioners, a youth, said, "Oh, I'll take it. I'd love to have it." And I thought, you're crazy. This thing is a mess. Wasn't built that well. Does have drawers. It works. I still use it today. And then later on in my career, I decided to build a record cabinet. Now, this is one for the LPs. You guys know what LPs are? Well, you can imagine this thing is outdated. It's not used for LPs anymore. My wife takes lots of pictures, so there's photo albums all in where the LP used to be. So it works. But it was in the same style as that old stupid desk. So fast forward now to about when I retired, which was in 2005. So about 12 years ago now. And I thought, oh gosh, my kids would probably like something, but what would I build for them if I made it? And I thought to myself, well, you're getting older. If you use that saw again, you could saw off a finger, and you won't have it anymore. You're not quite as steady as you used to be. And I thought, well, what could I make that they would want? It would cost too much. I couldn't find the right lumber, I'm sure, to really do it. It was too difficult to calculate the length of wood I needed to buy and cut up into smaller pieces and not have very much waste. I'm getting too old for this. So I put it off for about 10 or 12 years, until 2 months ago. I finally decided that I was going ahead and make the plans, make the list for the lumber, and do it. You know what the hardest part was? Going to get the lumber. I was so afraid I'd buy too little or too much. It'd be the wrong size. I'd have this much waste, and it's expensive oak wood. So I thought, this isn't going to work. I finally bit the bullet. It is amazing. I have amazed myself, to tell you the truth, how fun it is, how invigorating this project is, how exciting to every day have a new little problem that I have to figure out how to get around. stimulating. It's wonderful. The talent, little as it is, because the desk and the record cabinet aren't so great, little as it is, it improves. I'm amazed. And for heaven's sakes, I'm retired. I should not be amazed at this age anymore, but I'm amazed. And then there's the joy of giving it away when I'm done. You know that joy, don't you? Of giving something away, of making someone come with a smile, of making someone happy. I think that's the best part. So you've got talents. Many of you have used those talents in your life's work, but now most of you are retired and don't use those same talents in the same way. But how many of you have taken up painting, or sculpturing, or carving, or socialized with golf, or started writing? How many of you have discovered talents that you didn't know you had before? The opportunity is always there. You should read the Arizona Republic this morning. There's an article in there about Jane Elliott. Any of you read that article? About Jane Elliott? Raise your hand if you read that article. There's a few of you who are aware of it. You should look online or get the paper. It's a great article. She is just an incredible woman. She's 84 years old. And the article is about her as she is currently teaching in a class at ASU. She first came to become recognized in 1968. She was an elementary teacher of the third grade in Riceville, Iowa. And I know about that because the first church I served was in Caldwell, Iowa, which is a neighbor town to Riceville. It was following the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., and she was trying to figure out how to help her class understand what it means to be prejudiced. So she asked if they would like to know what it feels like to be discriminated against. So she did an experiment in her class because they were eager to learn. So she divided the class into groups. Now they were all white kids, probably farm kids in Riceville, as I know very well. One group was those with brown eyes. The other group was those with blue and green eyes. And she said, you brown-eyed children, oh, by the way, the blue and green-eyed kids got a little construction paper green band on them, so you could identify them easily as colored. So the first group, the brown group, she said, you are smarter. It's in your melana, you know, the stuff that's in your eye that makes the color. She said, the browner the eyes, the more melanin you have, so smarter you are. So she did the experiment. She let them go to lunch a little early. She let them stay on recess a little longer than the other kids with blue and green eyes. She said, you with brown eyes can drink from the fountain. You with blue and green eyes, you have to use a cup to drink from the fountain. She was amazed at how those with brown eyes began to feel they were better, more powerful, and kind of did a few mean things to those other kids. You'll have to read the article for the rest of it. I'm getting too long. It was an interesting way of discovering discrimination. This is Jane Elliott, who is 84 years old, who continues to share her talent in the world. Then there's Lillian Carter, Jimmy Carter's mother. At age 68, she applied for the Peace Corps. After completing the psychiatric evaluation, she received 3 months of training, was sent to India where she worked at the Godrej colony 30 miles from Mumbai. She worked there for 21 months, during which she aided patients afflicted with leprosy. So I do feel sorry for that slave with one talent. After all, I'm no Jane Elliott or Lillian Carter. You're no Jane Elliott or Lillian Carter. Or are you? Maybe you are. Maybe it's your talent that will show up next. This is Thanksgiving. Wherever you are, when you sit down to give thanks, don't forget to give thanks for the talents you have. No matter what your age, you've got God-given talent. Use it. Not everyone is born with the same talents. The talent is never lost by using it. It is only lost when it's not used. Shall we pray? Gracious God, we give thanks to you now, and during this week we will remember again all the great gifts you give us. We thank you for your word. May the words of my mouth be changed and molded and melted so that what each of us hears in our own heart is your pure word. In the name of Christ we pray.